made famous by the crooners Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, et al. Basically, done by Mickey and friends. Yes, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, Daisy Duck. And it's funny really because you may remember that I did the review of Disney songs the Satchmo Way from 1968 by Louis Armstrong, and I thought to myself, when I was listening to the album and the music, well, wouldn't it be funny if Mickey and friends were on these recordings, or I don't know, maybe they sing Disney songs or they sing jazz songs like this. And next thing I know, I see an Instagram post from Brett Hyman, who's the current voice of Mickey Mouse since 2009, saying, "This is the thing you didn't know that you needed, the MousePack." And and yeah, here we go. So yeah, excuse the pun, but it is a small world after all. I know there's a dreadful one. So I'm going to be reviewing 15 tracks, and there's a couple of originals, but most of them are all covers. It's quite scary to think that when a lot of these songs were done, Mickey and friends have been around so long. They're as old as these songs. There's a few originals, as I said, but they're mostly covers. So if you're ready, let's go. Oh, and I can't believe I forgot run the titles. The first track is Ain't That a Kick in the Head, written by Sammy Kahn and Jimmy Van Heusen, and made famous, you probably would think of Dean Martin. I certainly do. Well, actually, I was probably introduced to it by Robbie Williams, actually, on his album Swing When You're Winning in 2001, but of course, yes, made first famous by Dean Martin, and in fact, he sings it in the film Ocean's 11 as well. Which I didn't know actually, but I was just looking it up as I was listening to the song. A few lyrics have been left out because there's the line, she's telling me we'll be wet, she's telling me we'll be wet, she's left a king-size bed, which you can't really have Goofy singing really. I mean, it's the very nature of this album. It's always a difficult one, isn't it? You know, do you aim it for children, or do you aim it for people who have loved Mickey and friends, but have also grown up with the music of, you know, Sinatra and the Rat Pack and people like that? So it's a difficult one. The arrangement, well, it's kind of disappointing in the fact that there are, I think, some real instruments, but it is, you can tell it's done on a keyboard, which is a shame. It loses the proper big band feel, but I imagine it's to save money, and obviously because, you know, if you could just do it on a keyboard with sound effects, then it saves having to hire a full orchestra, because then you've got to book the studio, and then you've got to book the orchestra, and then do the orchestrations, so it all adds up, I'd imagine. So Disney, you know, I could sort of understand what they'd want to do to save costs and do that when it's perfectly acceptable. And, you know, no kids listening are going to moan that it's not a full big band. Yes, so would I revisit it again? Yes, I think, and yeah, it did make me laugh. I don't remember this, but Goofy saying out, because Obviously, he's took it literally as, you know, literally aimed at a kick, as in someone kicking him. Where I think the song, I imagine the meaning of aimed at a kick is to, you know, enjoyment. You know, you get a kick out of something. At a guess. Yeah. Yeah, great. Quite funny to hear Bill Farmer as Goofy singing this song, which I never thought I'd hear. Right, let's move on. The next track is probably, arguably, one of the most famous of those standards. Let's call the whole thing off. I mean, it's perfect, isn't it, for Donald, with, you know, arguing back and two. Tress MacNeille as Daisy Duck, she really does have a brilliant singing voice that's perfect for jazz. Well, I should say her voice for Daisy is perfect for jazz. Whether she's generally a good singer, I'm not sure, because obviously when you're doing a voice, you can sing as that voice, but you're not necessarily as a good singer. You know, a bit like Robin Williams, although, well, obviously he is a good singer because he sang on the Aladdin soundtrack. Anyway, this song was written by George and Ira Gershwin and first introduced by Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, I think, in the film Shall We Dance, I think. Let me just check that. Pretty sure it is Shall We Dance. Yes, 1937. When they're dancing on roller skates. I mean, well, yeah, only Fred Astaire could do that. Well, no, actually Gene Kelly, so not only, but yeah, it's certainly is cool. Loads of people have done it, of course. Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong have done it, and Bing Crosby. Loads and loads of people have recorded this. I did struggle to keep my face straight here in Donald because of his voice, you know, singing this song. But no, it's great. It's really fantastic, and it's quite funny, really, because in House and Mouse, if you remember that series, Daisy duets with Mickey. Well, because Minnie, I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. Well, he does eventually duet it with Minnie. They do a parody of it. Me the Mouse and I'm the Duck. So for them to actually sing the actual song after the parody is, yeah, coming a bit full circle. So yeah. So just briefly, this is a perfect fit, really, isn't it? Jazz and Disney. Walt loved his jazz. It was him that, you know, approached Louis Armstrong and said, what about recording an album of the studio's music? Now, Walt would not live to see that album completed, but and the animators had a band called the Firehouse 5+2, or is it the Firehouse 5-2, sort of ragtime band. Wayne Allwine, who was the voice of Mickey Mouse as well, there's a great video of him playing the drums and singing in his own voice, not in Mickey's voice, but yes, he was part of it as well. So, and of course, you have to remember when Disney started in the 20s, you know, jazz, that's what the music was around, really. So yeah, jazz is a big part, and obviously, you think of Peggy Lee, He's a Tramp. I mentioned Louis Armstrong doing some of the Disney songs. Bing Crosby was in the Adventures of Ichabod, Ichabod and Mr. Toad. I've probably not got that right. Perry Como's covered a couple of the songs from Cinderella. So there's even Frank Sinatra. There's a radio broadcast of him singing Zippity Doo Dah, and Johnny Mercer. So yeah, many people. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense. Right, would I revisit this track? Yes, I think I would. It's definitely funny, and yeah, I can't quite work out whether it's aimed at kids or whether it's aimed at people who, you know, love the crooners and grew up with their music, but also grew up with Disney. I don't know. I would guess kids, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on. The next song was written by Vincent Youmans and Billy Rose for the musical Great Day. And it's been done by loads of people. In fact, when I was typing it to YouTube, it was recommending me Barbra Streisand's version. But no, of course, this is the MousePack, so of course I wouldn't be listening to a version, although I might check it another time. And Russi Taylor, this was one of her final recordings before her death as Minnie Mouse. Well, it seems like she's channeling her inner Marilyn Monroe in this. In fact, yeah, it doesn't sound like Minnie singing, really. It sounds like, yeah, like Marilyn Monroe or Blossom Dearie or someone amongst those lines. Knowing that it's one of Russi's final recordings is quite emotional hearing that, but also her vocal delivery is also emotional, actually. Shame about the muted trumpet. Those who know me personally know that I absolutely hate the sound of a mute on a trumpet or a trombone. I just think it's horrible. So I wish that wasn't in it, but great vocal performance from Russi Taylor, and just absolutely wonderful. Yeah, just fantastic. Right, would I revisit it? Yes, absolutely. I would. Right, let's move on. The next track was written by Mark Fisher, Joe Goodwin, and Larry Shea, and it's When You're Smiling. Very famous jazz song. Andy Williams has done a version, in fact, that was used on an advert. Frank Sinatra's done it, Michael Bublé's done it, Nat King Cole's done it. So, yeah, pretty much a who's who of the jazz and crooners at least had a crack at that song. And now it's Mickey Mouse, Brett Iwan's turn. And it's great because you get a very sort of Louis Prima sort of thing, you know, getting the sort of a call and response thing with the chorus. So that's always fantastic. And actually that's you know, gives it a feel, you know, similar to Louis Armstrong doing you know, like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo or Hi Ho or something. So that's great. That's really enjoyable, and I did enjoy that. Yeah, certainly. Right, would I revisit it? Yes, I think I would. And although you could tell again on the keyboard, you could tell, well, if they're not real instruments, then they sound incredibly real. So, yeah. The next song was written by Burton Lane and Ralph Freed for Babes on Broadway, a 1941 film, and it was first sung by Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney. And I was just looking, so many of the crooners again have recorded this. You know, Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin. Although whether you call him a crooner, actually, I'm not quite sure, because he did so many styles of music, unlike Sinatra, who mainly, yes, he did occasionally go into folk and country slightly, but yeah, so many people. But it's Tress MacNeille as Daisy Duck, and her voice is just so easy to listen to with jazz. It's really, she should really consider becoming a jazz singer, really, because she's certainly got the voice for it. And you know, she's just very soft, you know, not powerful, just nice and soft. And yeah, would I revisit this? Yes, I would. Right, let's move on. The next track is called One for My Baby and One More for the Road. It was written by Harold Arlen and Johnny Mercer for the film The Sky's the Limit in 1943. And despite when people think that song, they probably think of Frank Sinatra, because he did make it famous, but it was actually introduced by Fred Astaire. There's an interview with Michael Parkinson with Fred Astaire where they admit this, that people, not many people know that it, that it was Fred Astaire that introduced it, because it became so associated with Sinatra, really, because it was the song that in his concerts, it would just generally tend to be his pianist Bill Miller at the piano, and it would be a very stripped down type of performance because it's that type of song, really. It's not one for a full on big band. All you need really is a piano, and it just it's brilliant. Robbie Williams, that was the first version I heard from his album Swing When You're Winning, but Johnny Mercer himself has done it. Frank Sinatra, of course, have said. I think, yes, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure I've heard so many other versions. The versions I'm most familiar with are Sinatra's and Robbie Williams of this one. Oh, I think I did listen to Fred Astaire's, but that was slightly more up tempo. It was a bit weird, actually, being so used to the slowness of this song. Well, I'm a bit baffled. Well, okay, obviously it doesn't quite compare to Sex, which ain't that a kick in the head, but you would think that a song about drinking, it is about depression, drinking to a brief episode. You would think that they would, omit those lyrics or change those lyrics, but they've kept them in, which is interesting, really interesting. But yes, well, again, it is kind of funny, and I do struggle to keep my face straight when hearing Donald Duck singing these these songs. It's one of those songs that's always really, I don't know, gives me goosebumps. I just think it's just the most beautiful song, and Johnny Mercer, of course, wrote some fantastic songs, and Harold Arlen, of course, as well, so put them together, and brilliant combination. So yeah, would I revisit it? Yes, I think I would, and in fact, I told you about Robbie Williams. Well, he actually got Bill Miller, Sinatra's original pianist, to play piano. They specifically wanted him because he was famous for playing piano, One for My Baby with Sinatra, and they got him. So in fact, they got quite a few of the players in the bands that had been with Sinatra either on tour or had once in the studio. So yeah, right, yeah, let's move on. The next track is Friendship, written by Cole Porter for Anything Goes, which it would have been fun for them to do that, wouldn't it? The title song to Anything Goes. But no, it's Friendship, and funnily enough, this song has actually been done before by Mickey and Friends, because for one of the Disney sing-along songs, I think they left some of the lyrics out, they did, or changed them, I can't quite remember, but Wayne Allwine as Mickey, Tony Alsemo as Donald Duck, and Bill Farmer as Goofy. And it's absolutely hilarious. I do recommend you check it out, and especially when there's so many of the clips of the cartoons to match with the lyrics as well. It's just brilliant. Why is Minnie on this? This is not, well, maybe I've got the wrong impression, but I don't think Friendship is about romance. It is about just sort of just mates, really. So yeah, it would have worked better again if they did Mickey, Donald and Goofy, but I suppose Disney think, well, we've already done that. But yeah, Mickey, Minnie and Goofy seems a bit of a strange combination. You tend to think of Mickey, Donald, Goofy Or if it was Daisy and Minnie, you know, that would make sense because they're friends. But Minnie's his girlfriend. Yeah. But anyway, yes, it's fun. I don't know what the thing about Good Evening Friends, that bit at the end. Just, ooh. Sorry. I don't know what, something just made me jump. Yes, no, it's it's a fun one. It is a fun one. And it's a great one, and loads of people have done it. As you could imagine, it's often is sung as a duet. I think Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney have done it. YouTube has recommended me to Johnny Mercer and someone else who I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, and if you're a fan of Strictly Come Dancing, this is actually good timing because tomorrow Ellie Taylor and Johannes will be doing a Charleston to Friendship. Which, well, it doesn't make me think of a Charleston because I tend to think of a Charleston as a bit more sort of up tempo. Well, you know, this is a bit slower. Now, whether they'll do that to that, I no idea. I imagine so. I mean, it'd be very interesting. But yeah, if you're a fan of Strictly, 6:55 tomorrow on BBC One, and yeah, you can see whether I'm just seeing the running order here, whether they'll go with that. So whether Ellie and Johannes will be the first one, I'm not sure, which would make sense. But yeah, but anyway, yeah, they're doing a Charleston to Friendship. So yeah, you can enjoy that if you're a Strictly fan. Right, would I revisit? Sorry, put your teeth back in, Will. Would I revisit this? Yes, I would. Right, let's move on. The next song was written by Johnny Richards and Carolyn Lee, and most famously, well, first recorded by Frank Sinatra, and the song was so popular that it inspired a film of the same name starring Sinatra and Doris Day, Young at Heart. Not the Bluebell song, no, that's a completely different song, which would be very strange, although actually it'd be quite fun to hear Donald sing that as well. I struggle to keep my face straight again because it's just so funny because of Donald's, you know. Yeah, Jimmy Durante did this song, and of course he's known for his very raspy voice, but I think Donald sounds much more raspy than Jimmy Durante, which is saying something. Yeah, would I revisit it? Yes. It's always one of those songs that the lyrics are just beautiful, and the song is, isn't it? It's just absolutely fantastic. You know, Sinatra singing it, or he did a virtual duet of him and the late Charles Aznavour doing it as well. I remember hearing Elaine Page play that on Radio 2. Yeah, such a brilliant song. I think Michael Bublé's done it as well. So yeah, just a great song. Right, shall we move on? The next track is called I Love a Piano, and if I said to you, what would you think I Love a Piano would be? Well, I bet you would probably say it's a ballad, and I thought it was a ballad. I'd never heard of it before. Most of the songs on this album I'm familiar with, at least from the covers, but I wasn't at all. Written by Irving Berlin for the review Stop, Look, Listen. I'll just double check that. Yes. Excuse me. Kermit the Frog actually sings it in a medley with Andy Williams. Well, they actually do sing How About You, actually. And Two of a Kind. This was one of Russi Taylor's final recordings, so she's on 2 tracks. More Than You Know and this one. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I have to admit, it's not a track I'm going to be I don't really like very Broadway over the top numbers particularly, and yeah, this comes in. It starts off all gentle, because you'd think, well, I love the piano, like you said, you'd think it's a ballad, but no, it's like it goes into full over the topness, and I'm like, nurse, she's off her meds, and yeah, it's one of those kind of moments for me. But well, you can't expect to like every track, although of course, you know, having Rooster Tail on two of these tracks is just fantastic. The fact that she managed to do that. Would I revisit it? No, I wouldn't. Not for this one. It's a bit too over the top for me. Yeah, not very keen on it at all, and would be quite happy if I never heard it ever again. Right, let's move on. The next track was written by Tom Adair and Matt Dennis, and first recorded by Frank Sinatra. Everything Happens to Me, and Bill Farmer sings it as Goofy. Well, I can't think of any song that's more perfect for Goofy, isn't it? Because often everything does happen to him, often with him falling or bumping into things with his signature holler. And yeah, it's perfect for him. Again, I wasn't aware of this song either, despite me being a fan of the Crooners. Well, they did loads, of course, so I don't know everything, admittedly. This song reminds me, actually, of That Old Devil Called Love in terms of arrangement. Most famous by Billie Holiday, and then later by Alison Moyet. Yeah, I'm a poet and I didn't know it, because they did actually rhyme, those two artists. Anyway, yeah, Billie Holiday and Alison Moyet. Right, anyway, would I revisit this? Yes, I think I would. I don't think it's my favourite track. The only one I don't particularly like is I Love a Piano. But apart from that, I like pretty much most of the tracks on this album, and yeah, this is again one of them. So we've come to the end of the album, and the final track is Think of Mickey Mouse. Now, I thought there was another original song. It turns out there's just this original one, and I really like it. It's really fantastic. I love the arrangement. It's really catchy. Funnily enough, it actually reminds me of an old novelty song, What? No Mickey Mouse, which was a satirical song about Mickey being president, basically, which, in fact, Phil Harris did a version of it, of course. Disney fans will know him as the voice of Baloo in The Jungle Book, and Thomas O'Malley in The Aristocats, and Little John in Robin Hood. And yeah, in fact, I might listen to that after this, actually. Yes, and I love it that it's mainly sung by Minnie, Goofy, and yeah, Minnie and Goofy, Rooster Tail, sorry, Katelyn Robrock, not sure if I pronounced the name right, not the easiest, and Bill Farmer, and Donald is very briefly there, is Think of Mickey Mouse, and he says Think of Donald Duck, which is, yeah, quite funny, because yeah, it's sort of a nod to the Mickey Mouse March, isn't it, when, Mickey Mouse Club March, when, you know, Donald Duck, and, yeah, and obviously Donald does like to make sure he's not forgotten sometimes, and yep, so yeah, it's a fun one. It's a really great original song, and I think it might actually be one of my favourite tracks of the album. And yeah, would I revisit it? Yes, I would. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're a Disney fan, you're going to like this album. If you're a fan of the Crooners, you're going to like this album. Or maybe if you're a serious fan of the Crooners, the idea of Donald Duck's the likes of Donald Duck and co singing these songs fills you with dread and horror. In that case, maybe it's not the album for you. But I really enjoy it, and like I say, it's so funny, because I was thinking, well, imagine if they did this. And they did do it. I'd quite like a follow-up, actually, and it'll be interesting to see if they will do one, because I just think there's so many songs from that era I'd quite like them to do. Anything Goes, that'd be a good one. Tons of songs from that. I'm just trying to think. I've Got You Under My Skin. That'd be quite a good one. Yeah, just maybe Bobby Darin's Things as well. Yeah, I don't know. So many different songs. Well, if you've liked what you've seen, feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe to the TubeMix YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time. In fact, the next video is going to be a review of Disenchanted, because that comes out soon. So I'm going to be looking forward to watching that. Amy Adams, James Marsden and Patrick Dempsey are all back, and and Adina Menzel as well. 15 years since the first Enchanted, so it's taken a long time to get this, but you'd hope that for a 15-year wait that the film will be good, but time will tell. And yeah, I look forward to bringing you that. But for now, thank you for watching, and goodbye.